Do you remember the Gatorade commercial about the best basketball player ever, Michael Jordan of the Chicago Bulls? Well, I'm sure we can debate who's the best, but that's what I think. Anyway, they showed glimpses of his shots and victories, and then it would show clips of kids trying to do what he did. And it had a song running in the background that said, "Sometimes I dream that he is me. Got to see that's how I dream to be. I dream I move, I dream I grew like Mike. If I could be like Mike, I wanna be like Mike. If I could be like Mike." It's the last time I have to do that. Or that Tiger Woods commercial for Nike when a bunch of kids would be shown saying, "No, I'm Tiger Woods. No, I'm Tiger Woods." Now think of the goal of those commercials. For the Jordan commercial, it was to get people to drink Gatorade because if they did, they could be as good as Michael Jordan. And the Nike commercial was to get kids to start playing with Nike golf equipment so they could grow up to be as good as Tiger Woods. Our gospel today doesn't have the benefit of millions of dollars in marketing and commercials on prime time. It doesn't have a think tank asking, how will this commercial be perceived? Our gospel today begins with a parable starting with a question. Can a blind person guide a blind person? Will not both fall into a pit? Pretty easy, right? Blind people in Jesus' day didn't have canes, so they probably aren't the best persons to lead anyone. So it says, "No disciple is superior to the teacher, but when fully trained, every disciple will be like his teacher." So do you see where I'm going with this? Back in the 90s, commercials were aired to get people to dream of being as good as Tiger or Michael. The commercials were so good, we'd only need to use their first name and you'd know who I was speaking of. And it's the same with Jesus. We know his name. Everywhere in the world, everyone knows the name of Jesus. But there were no marketing campaigns, no think tanks, no agents, no press advisors, just the Bible and his apostles, keeping his life and story alive. But what now? The Bible is written. The apostles are dead. Jesus has long since died and rose to heaven. There are no commercials challenging us to be like Jesus. No clever jingles that stick in our minds. All we have is priests, deacons, sisters, ministers from other faiths to preach the gospel, encouraging people to strive to be faithful to Jesus. But we also have a secret weapon. We have you. The church didn't grow to be what it is today because of people like me. It's because of people like you. When people see me wearing my collar, celebrating Mass, they expect me to talk about God, to be faithful, to pray, hopefully to be a good example. But you are the leaven of society. When you live as a disciple, you change the world. The Vatican II document Lumen Gentium says this about you. God calls the laity to work for the sanctification of the world from within as a leaven. That's your job and Jesus' secret weapon. The gospel challenges us to live as disciples, to bear good fruit. It says a good tree does not bear rotten fruit. If there is any rotten fruit in our lives, that's the place where we need to start pruning. Disciples don't produce bad fruit. But I'd like to make this much more concrete. It's easy to say, be a good disciple, bear good fruit. But we need to follow the real guide, Jesus Christ. So here are a few aspects for living like Jesus and being a true disciple. 1, living with love and compassion. Jesus embodied selfless love and had a deep compassion for the sinner and suffering. 2, obedience to God's will. Jesus was perfectly obedient to God, saying, "Not my will, but yours be done." 3, humility and servanthood. 4, prayer and intimacy with God. And 5, embracing suffering. Jesus accepted suffering for the sake of others, showing that love often requires sacrifice. We cannot become like Christ by our strength alone. It is the work of grace, and maybe a new catchy jingle. Sometimes I dream that I am He. Got to see that's how I long to be. I dream I love, I dream I serve like Christ. If I could be like Christ, I want to be like Christ. If I could be like Christ. See these kids over here? That's why we be like Christ. We need to be a good example for the world.